I'm not sure who she was talking about. Well, she said that I have 10 minutes to speak, and but I feel a little bit guilty since my distinguished colleague took much less than that. But I have a few things that I do want to say. First of all, I want to apologize for my attire. I was a little bit concerned about accepting this award because Jean's like, oh, it's business wear. Well, I actually wasn't returned to the United States from the Civil War. I was actually extracted from the Civil War. And I was in the shower when the fighting broke out. And I was washing my hair, and I could hear the small arms fire, and then the guard starts yelling. He's like, Madame, Madame! And I'm like, I'm in the shower, just a minute. And I'm like trying to, Dagiga, Dagiga, which is just a minute in Arabic. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Jump out of the shower, run around naked, and go, we're all going to die, we're all going to die. Anyway, I did make it out of Southern Kordofan, but the regional security director was really annoyed. He said, how could you send a woman with a disability into a situation like that? And my boss was like, oh, well, if anyone was going to make it out of there, it was going to be Tiana. So I don't want to talk about my international. What I want to talk about is University of Illinois and what it meant to me and how it shaped me as a person. And I was injured when I was 20 years old. And one of the biggest things about becoming injured is that it's not just losing yourself physically, it's everything that you plan for your life in one fell second is completely wiped out. And then you're thinking to yourself, what do I do now? I mean, all of you out there, you young students, you have dreams about what you're going to do and be when you get older. And to have that just taken away is an incredible thing to face. And one of the biggest things about becoming disabled, they actually started recruiting me to play wheelchair basketball in intensive care. But I wasn't quite ready to admit that I had a disability and that able-bodied basketball was beyond my reach. They finally lured me out with the promise of a sports chair, and I went out and I fell in love with basketball all over again. And that became my new dream, and my new goal was to compete in the Paralympics and be a wheelchair basketball player. And when I was finishing at the University of Oregon, I was still having surgery. I've had 34 reconstructive surgeries, and it did take me 4 years to learn to walk again, but I am standing in front of you today. I may not walk well, but I do it. So, and when I was leaving the University of Oregon, I was thinking, what am I going to do? Because I was still having surgery, and it's really difficult to go out and get a job and say, you know what, I'd really like to work for you, but I'm going to be gone about 3 days every month because I have to have surgery. And so I started looking into graduate programs. And when I had been in physical therapy in Boise the summer after my rehabilitation, after my crash, there was this physical therapist. Her name was Arlie, and she kept on saying, oh yeah, my niece Sharon McCarthy plays for University of Illinois, and she went to the Paralympics this year. And that's how I first heard about University of Illinois. And I wrote a letter to University of Illinois my senior year to Dr. Brad Hedrick and asked him about the program. And I sort of got this letter back that was like, well, we have this elite program, and then we have this program for community players. And it wasn't very encouraging. So I called, and I got the secretary, Phyllis. And if any of you know Phyllis, you can hear her coming from a mile away because she always wore these heels, and she clumped on the rehab floors. And I called, and I said, yeah, I wrote a letter, and I'm really interested in your program. I used to play able-bodied basketball, and I'm 6 feet. She's like, hold on. Clomp, clomp, clomp down the hall. 1 minute later, Dr. Hedrick was on the phone, and I was on my way out here for a visit. The first thing that I noticed about University of Illinois, it was the first time in my life that a group of women just embraced me. These women were so excited to have me even think about coming to Illinois. And when I got here, they were so committed to making me a better player. It was an incredible, incredible experience, and one that I had never had before. But what else that University of Illinois gave me is that oftentimes in the able-bodied world, I find that people have lower expectations of me because I have a disability. That was not true here at University of Illinois, and it was particularly not true of Coach Hedrick. Nor was it true of my mother. And having people expect something of you is a great motivator. And you have a tendency to live up to what people expect of you. And that was one of the best things about being at University of Illinois. It didn't matter if I had a disability. I was still expected to complete my graduate studies, to do a good job, and to go out and become a contributing member of this society. And that was one of the best things that University of Illinois gave me, was having expectations of me as a person. If you want to know how excellent of Coach Hedrick was, and probably still is, even though he doesn't coach, I wasn't a very good basketball player, and I didn't tell him that on the phone, an able-bodied basketball player. When I was in junior high, we had 4 teams. There was an A, B, C, and D team. Does anyone want to guess what team I was on? Yeah, I was on the C team. But I loved basketball. And I finally made the varsity team in high school, but I still wasn't a very good basketball player. But I just loved the sport. After I was injured and I fell in love with it again, I was selected to make this commercial against drinking and driving. And there was this part in the commercial where I had to roll up in my wheelchair and make a basket. Does anyone want to guess how many takes it took for me to make that basket? Okay, I'm going to tell you it was 42. 42 takes. And I swear to you, the guy with the clapperboard, he was like this. He was like, take 30. So we do it again. Oh no, take 34. And you could just hear the whole gym sigh. Coach Hedrick has this amazing ability. He's an excellent player, but he can take that, and he can take somebody who has the desire and puts their heart into it, and he can make them into an athlete. And he and the women that I played with are the reason that I went so far in this sport. And there are very few coaches who have that ability. And as you can see, since it took me 42 takes to make that first basket, and I actually became one of the top women players, I think that is a testament to this program and to Dr. Hedrick. I do want to tell you a few stories about Coach Hedrick and the program and what I learned here at Illinois. One of my favorite stories is I had to come back early for Christmas, from Christmas to practice. And I got back, and I can't remember which gym we were at, but 2 of the guys were sitting in the middle of the parking lot. And I think it was Billy and Tony. I was like, hey guys, what's going on? And then I get to the edge of the parking lot, and I'm in my wheelchair, and it's iced over, and I start sliding to the center of the parking lot. And I come to rest in the drain where they were. They are sitting in the drain, and I'm in the drain with them, and I'm like, why didn't you guys tell me you were stuck in the drain? And they're like, because it was more funny to watch you come in. And this happened, and pretty soon, okay, we were a little bit smarter than this, but pretty soon there were 8 of us stuck in the drain. And we're all sitting there stuck in the drain, and we were looking at each other like, man, we are screwed. But then eventually one of the TAs came and pulled us out, so we were really lucky. Now, I have a lot of coach stories, but my favorite coach story is, it was my 3rd year playing, and we'd lost about 4 starters, and it was after 1992, and it was in 1993. We'd lost about 4 starters, and we were a pretty green team. And it was the championship game, and we were playing against our arch rivals, Minnesota. And we were down by 1 point. And I was underneath the basket, and if anyone knows anything about basketball, this is a very difficult shot due to the depth perception. And this woman was all over my right hand. And so I put it in my left hand, and I put my hand up, and I made the shot. And I'm not left-handed, but this is something that Coach Hedrick really drilled into us. As a matter of fact, on my visit out here, I was dribbling with my right hand, and somebody was on my right hand, and he yelled at me, he goes, if you don't start using your left hand, I'm going to tie your right hand behind your back. And I said, wow, I want to play here. And I made that shot, and it put us up by 1, and that was the game-winning shot, because then I went out and I got my 4th foul. I got my 4th foul, and Coach is on the sideline, and he has this vein that gets all starts pumping, and he's like, that's 4, T, that's 4. And I'm like, I know, it's okay. Don't tell me it's okay. Okay. I'm like, yes, sir. Anyways, we won that game by 1 point. It was one of the best basketball moments in my life. What I took away from Illinois was not only that I should be somebody in this world and that I should contribute, but I took away a lot of what we call Bradisms. So you know when you reach that age and you start talking to your kids and you're like, oh my God, I sound like my mother. I reached that age and I would say something, I'd be like, Oh my God, I sound like Coach Hedrick. So my favorite Bradisms. If you're early, you're on time. If you're late, you're late. I swear to you, I am rarely ever late, sir. Control the things you can control. Let go of the things you can't. Once is a mistake, twice is a pattern of behavior. And after we lost the gold medal, or actually we won the bronze medal in Atlanta, and I had my heart set on gold, I was sitting there looking at the bronze medal, and my teammate Mac came up to me. We were sitting there looking at the bronze medal, and out of her mouth came a Bradism. And she said, "It's okay, T. Worse things have happened to you. After all, you do play wheelchair basketball." So my entire goal after my dreams were wiped out was to win a gold medal. And when that didn't happen, it really ripped a hole in my psyche, because I'd rebuilt all my dreams around this gold medal. And gold, although an incredible achievement, is not the pinnacle of success or recognition, which I realize now. But what I carry with me, and probably the thing that resonates in my mind, is something that my coach wrote to me after we lost the gold in Barcelona. You never ever win the silver, you only lose the gold, just in case you're wondering. He wrote me this letter, and he said, and I can't believe I still remember this, that's how impactful this advice was. He said, "Winning and losing result from many things. Some are internal and controllable, some are external and uncontrollable." And he always talked like this too. Therefore, winning must not always incite adulation, and losing is not always time for self-criticism and or self-berating. The most noble feature of competition is not the outcome, but the effort which precedes it. Where effort exists, there is no failure, merely momentary setbacks. I've had a lot of momentary setbacks in my life, but I have always carried that with me, and it has a place of honor in my I Love Me book, because those words really resonated with me. No one who ever stands on a podium gets there by themselves, so I have a few thank yous to say before I let you go. First, a big thank you to Dr. Nugent and all the people that I don't know for developing this program. What foresight you had, and what an incredible program it is, and what a difference it made in my life. Thank you. I will always and forever think of the U of I team as being Tony, Scott, Curtis, James, Billy, Ann Cody, Rhonda Jo, Jean Driscoll, who will forever be the fastest woman in the world to me, Sharon Hedrick, Sharon Mack Miller, and they were embracing, and they helped make me the player that I became. So supportive, really committed to my success. On the grad side, Dr. Colleget was my favorite professor, and Dr. Jeannie Bukowski was the woman who got me through graduate school, my grad buddy who's here with me today. Thank you. Most importantly, Dr. Brad Hedrick, coach, you set the bar for that title, and though I've been coached by a lot of people, you are and always will be coach. I'm humbled that you think I'm worthy of this honor, and now I know that gold was not the ultimate achievement. Thank you. I hope you are all proud of this life that you have helped shape.